Exposed. My husband cancelled my invite. Discover the amazing truth behind my luxury hotel empire. Jessica Hart stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the straps of her carefully chosen gown. Tonight was supposed to be the night. The night she finally received the recognition she deserved for building her luxury hotel empire from the ground up. Her heart raced with both excitement and nerves. But just as she imagined the moment she'd walk onto that stage, she received the gut punch of a lifetime. Her husband had cancelled her invitation, leaving her staring at the mirror in disbelief, her dreams swirling into a haze of disappointment. You can't go. Not everyone looks good in a gown made of privilege. His voice echoed in her mind like a haunting refrain. Tears welled in her eyes, blurring her reflection. The world outside her window, a typical suburban street lined with bright lights and laughter, felt entirely disconnected from her heavy heart. As she prepared for the evening, memories of her past flooded in. The little waitress serving coffee, the single mother juggling work and every moment with her son. She thought of early mornings, putting on her game face while the other waitresses whispered about how she'd never make it big. Yet, here she was, a complete transformation, fueled by nothing but determination and grit. And yet the thought of her husband's rejection weighed heavily on her. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Later that day, her neighbors rallied around her like family. Maureen from 2 doors down, with her warm smile and home-baked cookies, sat with her on the porch, reminding Jessica of her worth. You worked hard, Jess. You're every bit deserving of that award. Others chimed in, each voice adding a layer of support. Yet, even through their kindness, judgmental eyes seemed to linger, whispering that her success was undeserved, a harsh reminder of the societal pressures that clung to her like a second skin. As the sun dipped below the horizon and shadows elongated across her front yard, the local charity event buzzed with anticipation. Jessica felt a mix of dread and hope. She spotted her husband in the crowd, his posture tense. Would this be her moment to confront him? Would she unravel years of silence, bearing the weight of unspoken truth? As they came face to face, a storm brewed in the air. Her heart thudded in her chest. Here they stood, caught in a world of their own making. Would she finally voice the years of struggle, the resilience of a woman torn between love and ambition? The weight in her chest grew heavier, memories colliding between them like a crashing wave. With the eyes of their friends and neighbors on them, Jessica found her voice trembling on the edge of revelation. Would this opportunity bring healing or shatter their dreams entirely? The air hung thick with tension, and she could feel the collective breath of the crowd, caught in the fragility of the moment. What would unfold next? The choice lay before her, poised on the brink of a new beginning. Jessica took a deep breath, grounding herself in the moment. The scent of fresh flowers wafted through the venue, mingling with the sounds of laughter and jazz music in the background. But the festive atmosphere felt worlds away from the turmoil stirring inside her. She had fought too hard to let this moment slip through her fingers, yet here she was, the weight of his doubt draping over her like a shroud. Jessica, her husband said, his voice low. This isn't the place for this. Ignoring his words, she took a step forward. When is the right place, Matt? How long can we pretend? He looked at her, a flash of something in his eyes, embarrassment, alarm. It was unsettling to see the man she shared her life with now seem so distant. The crowd swirled around them, faces filled with anticipation. Friends, acquaintances, some even rivals, all watching. She could feel the eyes of the world on her. Fine, he hissed, stepping closer. Say what you need to say. She glanced around, awareness hitting her harder than any slap. This was more than a husband and wife squabble. This was a reckoning for all that they had built, all that had been sacrificed. You've made me doubt myself for too long. I deserve this recognition. I've worked late nights and fought against so much just to be here, and you know it." The words spilled from her in a rush, each one a tiny release of her pent-up frustrations. She could feel an electric charge coursing through her. It fueled her, pushed her to stand up, to assert herself despite the chaos drumming in her heart. Matt's gaze dropped to the floor, his fingers tugging at the cuff of his tailored shirt. "You think this is easy for me? I'm proud of you, but can you not see how it looks? You have what they want." Jessica flinched, his words cutting deep. Did he really believe that? Did he think her achievements were tainted by envy? The hurt burned brighter than the anger swelling inside her. "This isn't about them, Matt. This is about us." Silence enveloped them, drawing the crowd closer. Whispers ricocheted, and she felt hot cheeks of strangers. But it didn't matter anymore. What mattered was her truth. "I built my empire from nothing. Every rejection, every moment of doubt, it made me who I am. And I'm not going to hide that anymore." The corners of Matt's mouth twitched, caught between disappointment and an uneasy pride. "You have everything I wanted for you, but what?" She pressed, heart racing. "You wanted me to shrink down to fit your idea of success? This isn't about fitting in. It's about soaring high, Matt." As she spoke, the energy shifted. The tension in her body felt like a taut string ready to snap. Jessica looked deep into his eyes, finally seeing the confusion swirling within him. For so long, he'd been her anchor, but now he felt more like an anchor weighing her down. Somewhere in the crowd, Maureen offered a supportive nod, and the slight gesture ignited a spark of strength in Jessica. With a final push, she declared, "I won't be ashamed of who I am any longer. I deserve this night, and whatever my future holds. Do you stand with me, or do you stand against me?" The question lingered in the suffocating air. Would he join her in this fight, or would he retreat further, leaving her to forge ahead alone? As their eyes locked, Jessica felt herself teeter on the edge, her heart pounding, breath held tight with uncertainty. What would he choose? And what would that mean for her dreams, for their marriage? The silence stretched, taut as a bowstring. Jessica felt her heart race, the steady rhythm of the jazz band in the background offering an ironic counterpoint to the crescendoing tension between them. She watched Matt's face, searching for a hint of understanding, anything that hinted he was about to take her side. But his eyes remained clouded, trapped in confusion and doubt. "Jessica, this isn't about you or me. You know how the world works. We can't just..." His voice dropped, rendering his last words almost inaudible. "You can't just charge ahead without thinking of the consequences." The crowd shifted around them, a wave of curious eyes absorbing their argument. Jessica could practically feel the weight of their stares, a torrent of judgment washing over her. It made her skin prickle. She thought of all the late nights she'd poured into her business, the sacrifices she'd made for both of them. Each decision, every long hour, this was her moment. Not because she wanted to flaunt it, but because she had earned it. Consequences? She scoffed, surprise launching the word from her lips. "The biggest risk I've taken is trusting you to believe in me. You think this is just about winning a trophy? It's about so much more." Passion ignited her words, transforming her trepidation into a fierce urgency. Matt recoiled slightly, as if her anger was a projectile aimed at him. She knew this wasn't the first argument they'd had, yet, this was different. It felt like a dam was bursting. There was something raw in their exchange, something that hinted at years of suppressed feelings. "I wanted to protect you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I thought you wouldn't want to be the center of attention, that you'd prefer to keep it all low-key." His gaze dropped again, hiding a mixture of shame and frustration. "But maybe I was wrong." "Damn right, you were wrong," she shot back, unable to contain her fire. "I need you to lift me up. I need you to celebrate this." His eyes flickered back to hers, wrestling with doubt. "And what if it all falls apart? What if this recognition leads to something dark? People can be cruel. I just don't want you to get hurt." Jessica's breath hitched. She had always admired his protective nature, but the chains wrapped around her heart tightened. This wasn't just about her success. This was about vulnerability, the shared fear of failure that hung like a storm cloud over their entire life. She wasn't asking for blind faith. She wanted a partner who believed in her strength. Matt, nothing is perfect. Not life, not our dreams, not even love. The tears pooled in her eyes, but she blinked them back. But I want the chance to find out what we can do together. All these moments when you've held me back. They've only made me doubt. I can't live like that anymore. You either stand with me now, or it might be time for me to go on without you. I won't shy away from my ambitions for anyone. As the silence reverberated between them, Jessica took a deep breath. The balloons that floated above them were like her hopes, poised for flight. But now, with every word spoken, she felt the weight of possibility mixed with fear. Would he realize what they stood to gain, or would this be the moment they lost it all? Jessica felt the ground shift beneath her, the choice hanging heavy in the air. Jessica, he said finally, grabbing her hand. But before he could continue, a loud cheer erupted from the crowd. Abandoning their private storm, Jessica turned, instinctively seeking affirmation from her friends. They were raising glasses, clinking them in celebration, blissfully unaware of the battle she had just fought. Just then, she caught sight of Maureen, whose wide grin and infused enthusiasm seemed to radiate hope. But was it genuine, or just a facade to mask the truth lurking beneath? With a shaky exhale, Jessica turned back to Matt, her heart caught in a vulnerable flicker of anticipation. So, what's it going to be? As uncertainty filled the space between them yet again, she felt a familiar pang tightening her chest. Would he walk beside her into the unknown, or would this truly be the beginning of something she never wanted to confront? The night felt alive, crackling with tension, the fate of their relationship intertwined with the celebration she had fought so hard to claim. What would this next chapter hold for them both, and could she find solace in the decision he would make? The cheer from the crowd faded into a dull roar, leaving the tension simmering between them. Jessica stared into Matt's eyes, searching for a sign, a flicker of reassurance. But all she could see were doubts reflected back at her. The music swelled around them, a jazzy tune celebrating life's joys, while she felt stuck in a labyrinth of her own fears. Jessica, he began, his grip on her hand tightening as if he feared she might slip away. I just worry that I don't know if this is worth it. The stakes are high. She pulled her hand back, feeling the cold rush of rejection. What do you mean, worth it? You think I'm doing this for fun? I've worked too hard to back down now. Each word felt like a raw cut, but she couldn't stop. I've sacrificed my dreams to keep us afloat, to keep the peace. And now, when I'm about to step into the light, you want me to retreat? I want you safe. He countered, his voice rising. And I thought I knew you. But maybe I don't. Maybe this isn't just about a trophy or recognition for you. Maybe he hesitated, biting down on whatever truth he was about to spill. Maybe you really want to prove something. The truth landed heavy between them. Jessica's chest tightened, the accusation twisting in her gut. She had fought for every inch of her success, and if this was about proving herself, she didn't care. The ambition that fueled her was the very fire she needed to ignite their lives. If proving myself is what it takes to show you I'm worth believing in, then so be it, she fired back, her voice barely louder than a whisper. But I can't imagine a life where you're not there cheering me on. The murmurs from nearby friends drifted closer, laughter intertwining with uncertainty. She could feel familiar faces looking at her, and for a moment, she felt the warmth of their support. But that wasn't the affirmation she needed. She turned back to him, desperation pooling behind her eyes. I need you, Matt. I need to know you see me for me. Not some version of who you think I should be. His lips pressed into a thin line as he considered her words. Jessica studied his face, hoping for a sign. Would he step into the shadows, or could he truly meet her in the light? Finally, he glanced away, as if battling a storm inside. I've always believed in you. But it feels like if I don't restrain you, I'm losing you. His hands fell to his sides, open palms revealing his rawest fear. What if this success pushes you away from me? I can't lose you in the chase, Jess. The fear in his voice broke something in her. So you'd let fear rule our lives? She couldn't help the edge in her tone. She wasn't angry, but hurt. You need to understand that I'm not just chasing something superficial. This is about our future, about building something together, something real. Another loud cheer pierced through the atmosphere, a celebration echoing her longing. She breathed deeply, steadied herself. Can you be my partner in this? Can we step away from the fear together? A flicker sparked in his eyes. Was it hope or just a fleeting moment of acceptance? But just then, Maureen and a few others swarmed in, bubbly and exuberant. Jessica. Come on. We need you for a toast. She beamed, hair bouncing with each confident step, interrupting the weight of their moment. Jessica felt the swell of frustration bubble against her calm facade, but she forced a smile. I'll be right there, she said, her voice light yet edged with pressure. Matt's expression twisted, caught between the celebration and their unfinished conversation. Let us finish this later, he said, an unsteady promise hanging in the air. Sure, she agreed, even as uncertainty knotted her stomach. The crowd enveloped her, laughter ringing like tiny bells around them. As she raised her glass among friends, Jessica felt a creeping dread linger beneath her celebration. What if this was just a brief pause before a bigger storm? And then, as Maureen leaned in to share a joke, Jessica caught sight of Matt, standing still, a shadow among the light. There was so much left unsaid. What would this evening mean for both of them? As she cheered with her friends, she sensed the reality of their rift, deeper than she had expected. The night pressed forward, alive and buzzing, but inside, she felt the foundations of her dreams shaking. Would they make it through, or would this night mark the crumbling of everything she had fought for? The question lingered in the air like a note waiting to resolve, leaving Jessica wondering if they could truly bridge the gap between fear and ambition. Would they emerge united, or would this be the beginning of an unraveling she was terrified to face? The bright lights twinkled above, blurring into one another like a painter's brush strokes on a canvas. Jessica sipped her drink, trying to drown out the rising anxiety clawing at her insides. Laughter surrounded her, but it felt hollow, a distant echo to the storm brewing in her chest. Maureen chatted about her promotion, her excitement infectious, but Jessica just managed a polite smile, her mind drifting to Matt. That he was off to the side, lost in a whirlwind of chatter but clearly preoccupied. Every time she glanced his way, his expression was a mix of concern and frustration. The tightness in her chest returned, the joyous celebration felt far too loud, too overwhelming when her heart was in turmoil. Hey! Earth to Jess! Maureen's voice broke through her thoughts. Jessica blinked back the fog, forcing herself to focus. You okay? You seem a million miles away. Yeah, I'm fine, she lied, waves of uncertainty rippling through her. Just thinking. About what? That cute bartender? Maureen teased, nudging her gently. Jessica chuckled weakly, shaking her head. No, not him. Just everything. She gestured vaguely, a mix of triumph and anxiety hanging in the air. Simon, it's your night. Let us celebrate. Maureen said, her enthusiasm unwavering. This is a big deal. It was, and that thought stung her heart more. This wasn't just another night out, it was the culmination of her hard work, the years spent building her image and reputation. She had poured everything into this moment, and yet it felt like it was slipping from her grasp. Glancing at Matt again, she noticed he was speaking with Greg, their mutual friend, but the lines etched on his forehead told her he was still wrestling with the same weight she had felt earlier. Suddenly, she wished they could just disappear from the crowd, just the two of them in a quieter place where real conversations could happen. But here they were, surrounded by friends, the pressure mounting. What if he's right? The voice in her head whispered, a thread of doubt weaving through her triumph. What if this pushes him away? Turning back to the party, the room seemed too bright, too loud. Jessica felt a sudden urge to escape, to breathe. I think I need some fresh air, she said, startling Maureen with her sudden decision. Wait. I'll come with you. Maureen insisted, eager to keep the energy up and the mood light. No, it's fine. Just give me a minute. Jessica stepped outside, the cool night air welcoming and freeing. She leaned against the wall, staring up at the stars, trying to find solace in their stillness. But the joy of the evening dimmed as she felt the pull of her reality. She needed to talk to Matt, to mend this rift. Taking a deep breath, she closed her eyes, praying he would see the way she intended, how they could be partners in this journey. The thought of losing him stung more than the prospect of failure. Jess? His voice called from behind, rich with concern. She turned, looking up at him, the shadows giving her courage as she faced the turmoil between them head-on. Matt, we need to talk. He stepped closer, the distance between them shrinking, but the hesitation lingered. I thought we needed to enjoy tonight. We can talk later. She shook her head, her heart racing. No more later. I can't pretend everything is fine. It isn't. I want us to be on the same page, but I don't know how. The rest of her words faltered as she searched his eyes, trying to catch the spark of understanding. Could he meet her halfway? Or would this moment shatter everything they had built together? His expression turned softer, like he was finally letting his guard down. I know. But the worry still loomed. Let us figure this out. But how? Could words bridge the gap between ambition and fear? As they stood in the silence of the night, Jessica realized the stakes were higher than ever, but so was their hope. Their future hung in the balance, and now was the time to find the truth that would either unite them or drive them further apart. Could she tear down the walls of uncertainty and reach for the connection they desperately needed? The night stretched on, a tapestry of unanswered questions waiting for resolution as they faced each other, hearts pounding with potential. Would they emerge stronger, or would this be the unraveling she feared? The tension hung between them like thick fog, nearly suffocating in its weight. Jessica took a step closer, tentatively reaching for Matt's hand, as if grounding herself in the warmth of his presence could dissolve the uncertainty swirling around them. I can't keep pretending, she whispered, her voice trembling. Matt squeezed her hand, his brow furrowing again as he processed her words. What do you mean? He asked carefully, as if afraid of the answer. I mean, she hesitated, searching for the right way to say it without breaking both of their hearts, that every time I achieve something, it feels like it pulls us apart. I want you to be proud of me. Of course I am. He interrupted, his voice rising slightly. His frustration seeped into the air. But it's like every victory comes with a price. His words pierced through her, igniting a fierce protective instinct inside her. What price, Matt? I'm not doing this to hurt you. I want us to share my success, to celebrate it together. But even as she spoke, a gnawing doubt bubbled up inside her. Did she really want it all? Or was she chasing a dream that had started out as hers, only to become a wedge between them? He exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair. I know you want that, Jess. You're doing amazing things for your career, but you're also losing yourself. We're losing each other in the shuffle. For the first time, the barrier built from years of ambition and grind felt fragile, like ice melting beneath the sun. She watched as anger flickered in his eyes, but beneath it lay something deeper, hurt and fear, mirroring her own. I'm scared too, she admitted, her voice almost a whisper. Scared that if I stopped now, everything I worked for could slip through my fingers. He stepped closer, the air around them electric, buzzing with unsaid truths. You won't lose everything. But you could lose us. What happens when you reach the top? Will I be there? Or will I just be another thing that weighs you down? A pang of guilt shot through her. I need your support, Matt. I can't do it without you. The storm in her chest settled a fraction as she saw a flicker of understanding in his eyes. Then let us make it work. Let us talk, figure out how we can build this together instead of separately, he said, his voice calming, yet still laced with an undercurrent of desperation. Can we? Can we really make it work? She lifted her gaze to meet his, searching for answers in those familiar, deep-set eyes. Let us try, he replied. But there was a flicker of doubt in his expression, a shadow lingering just beneath the hope. Jessica felt reconciliation blooming, but it was fragile, like a new flower pushing through the snow. As they stood there, the party's laughter faded until it became a mere backdrop to their moment. She felt a thread of something, a connection igniting. It was an invitation to vulnerability and authenticity, a chance to confront the truth of what they truly wanted. But before they could dive deeper, the party's door flung open, and their friend Greg stumbled out, wide-eyed. "You two okay? Maureen is looking for you," he called, oblivious to the intimate moment they had shared. Jessica and Matt exchanged a glance, both amused and irritated at the interruption. "Yeah, we're fine," Matt replied, his voice more confident now. As Greg turned back to the party, Matt looked back at Jessica, a mixture of concern and resolve in his gaze. "We'll finish this conversation, Jess. I promise." The moment hung between them, filled with unspoken promises. Would they take that step together, or would life's distractions keep them apart? The thought tickled at Jessica's mind. With Greg around, the reality of the celebration returned, and the noise pulsed like a heartbeat. But Jessica felt a newfound determination surging within her. They would face the world together, one challenge at a time. And yet, as she looked up at the stars again, she couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenges were just beginning. What surprises awaited them when they returned to the crowd? Would their fragile agreement stand the test of the night, or would it crumble under pressure? A clink of glasses echoed from inside as the laughter erupted once more, and Jessica felt a wave of apprehension wash over her. The night had more in store for them than she realized. As they stood together with hearts racing, they weren't just two people bound by love anymore, they were two souls entering uncharted territory. Would they emerge united, or would this night push them further apart than they ever thought possible? The vibrant chaos of the party enveloped them as they stepped back inside, the warm glow of lights casting a cheerful ambience over the crowd. Jessica's heart beat faster not only from the unresolved conversation with Matt, but also from the excitement and energy buzzing around her. Friends danced, laughter echoed, and the clinking of glasses filled the air. Yet, instead of feeling at ease, a dizzying mix of exhilaration and anxiety twisted in her stomach. Greg was already deep in conversation with a group of friends, his gestures animated. "Come on, let's catch up with them," Matt urged, breaking through her momentary daze. He pulled her gently in the direction of the gathering, never releasing her hand. It felt grounding, but Jessica couldn't shake the weight of their earlier discussion, the vague shadow it cast over the room filled with light-hearted optimism. "Hey, Jess. Matt. Finally found you," shouted Maureen, emerging from the crowd with a warm smile that seemed to shine even brighter with a glass of champagne in hand. "You two were in your own world out there. Everything all right?" "Just having a deep chat," Matt replied, smiling but giving Jessica a quick look, a reminder of their unfinished talk. "Oh, you know how it is. Nothing like an intimate moment to make you realize you're still human," she joked, raising her glass. The laughter of others followed, and Jessica felt the pressure ease slightly. Having moments like these with friends, where everything felt light and easy, brought a sense of relief, yet, every little cheer and toast swirling around her didn't harmonize with her insistent worries. Uncertainty gnawed at the back of her mind like an uninvited guest. Was she holding on to a dream that lay at the expense of her relationship? The idea tugged at her heart like a string on the edge of fraying. As the night wore on, conversations continued around Jessica and Matt. To the casual observer, they were just another couple caught in the joy of friends. But here they were, hearts still heavy from the weight of love and aspirations fighting to coexist. Then suddenly, Greg stepped forward, excitement lighting up his features. "All right, everyone. Let us do a group toast. To dreams and achievements, and to supporting each other through it all." His words rang out like a bell, and glasses were raised high, cheers echoing around the room. Jessica felt everyone's eyes on her as they lifted their glasses, and for a moment, she was frozen. She looked at Matt, whose expression shifted from animated cheerfulness to something more solemn, as he caught her gaze. It was the look of someone asking, "Will you stand with me?" In that heartbeat, Jessica knew she had a choice. She could blend herself into the excitement, forget their discussion for the night, or she could confront the truth that needed to be seen and heard. Just as the group cheered, Jessica piped up, her voice breaking through the revelry. "Wait. I want to say something. The room hushed, eyes turning towards her, some amused, others intrigued. Matt furrowed his brow, glancing at her with surprise and worry. Jess, are you sure? Yeah, I need to. Taking a deep breath, she pushed through the sticky feeling in her throat. I want to toast to not just achievements, but to making sure they don't come at the cost of what matters most. To finding balance. Silence hung in the air, and a few smiles spread across faces, others became contemplative. It wasn't what anyone had expected. Matt's expression softened, a flicker of pride shining through his earlier uncertainty. A warmth surged in Jessica's chest, a realization that sometimes it was necessary to be exposed, to share the vulnerable parts of herself. They raised their glasses again, this time with renewed purpose, and Jessica felt the weight of the night start to lift. But as the drinks flowed and the music picked back up, she knew she had only scratched the surface. How would this honesty ripple through the night? What uncharted waters lay ahead as emotions stirred among friends, as well as between her and Matt? Jessica looked back at him, searching his eyes for what would come next. She had opened a door, and she wondered if they would step through it together, or if it would lead to something unforeseen. The question lingered in the air, pulling at the fabric of their connection. Could they truly balance their dreams and each other? As laughter filled the room again, Jessica felt the thrill of adventure in her veins. The laughter began to fade into a murmur, the music pulsed through the room like an electric heartbeat. The group resumed their chatter, glasses clinking, and Jessica found herself retreating into her thoughts. She watched as Matt tried to join in the laughter, but there was still a shadow in his eyes. She wondered how long it would take before that shadow weighed him down. Greg moved on to his next inspiring speech, declaring some wild idea for a group vacation in the coming months. Let us go somewhere tropical. I mean, who doesn't want to sip cocktails on a beach? Everybody clapped and cheered, but Jessica couldn't concentrate on the excitement. Instead, she felt herself drifting. Are you okay? Matt's voice cut through, low and steady. He leaned closer, his brow knitted with concern. Yeah, just processing, she replied, forcing a smile. That toast, it just made me think about everything. What are you really thinking about? Matt prompted, his expression serious, a hint of irritation seeping through. You're not just being introspective again, are you? Jessica stiffened, but she didn't want to retreat into the walls she'd built. I guess I'm trying to figure out how to make my goals fit into what we have. I feel like I'm being pulled apart at the seams. You're not alone in this, he said, the softness returning to his gaze. I'm here. Those 3 words felt like a lifeline, but doubt still churned in her mind. The party buzzed around them, and she felt the weight of their future pressing against her chest. But what if what I want is different from what you want? She asked, suddenly overwhelmed. Matt's brows furrowed. We've talked about this. You're chasing your dreams, and I'm chasing mine. But we should be in this together, right? All I'm saying is, I don't want to compromise everything. I care about what we have, she admitted, voice barely rising above the music. But it can't come at the cost of losing myself. He looked at her, and for a moment, she saw a flicker of something understanding, perhaps? Maybe we need to take time to figure out what our future looks like. It can't be one-sided, he finally offered. Maybe, she whispered, unsure if his words brought reassurance or more questions. Just then, Maureen, with her infectious energy, swooped in. Hey, lovebirds. You're not plotting world domination, are you? Jessica forced a laugh, but it didn't feel right. Just a little heart-to-heart, she said, waving off the growing tension. Good. Heart-to-hearts are great for team building. Greg chimed in, oblivious to the changing dynamics. All right, now who wants to play a game? Amid the distraction, Jessica took a moment to breathe. But her heart thrummed harder than ever. Was she ready to face the reality of their lives, or was she still stuck trying to keep them afloat? As the group erupted in cheers and laughter, Jessica saw Matt standing slightly apart from the rest, his hands stuffed in his pockets, wearing that same serious expression. She wanted to pull away and hide. Yet, deep down, there was a part of her that needed to confront the chaos in her heart, before she could think, the words slipped out. Maybe we need to take a break, from everything, to think clearly. Matt's face fell, disbelief washing over him. You're serious? Jessica nodded, her pulse racing with terror at the thought. But she knew something had to change. The room felt suffocating now, the revelry becoming a distant tune. She needed clarity, wanted to find her balance. Do you think that's what we need? A break? He asked, his tone measured but the hurt obvious. Jessica's heart sank, wondering if they could rebound from this. Could they truly seek clarity and find a path forward, or was this a point of no return? As uncertainty loomed between them, the question lingered. Would a break mean finding their way back together or letting go completely? The answer was just out of reach, hanging in the air thicker than the music around them. As the laughter and music continued to swirl around them, Jessica felt the walls of the party pressing in. She was hyper-aware of every clink of glass and every cheer, yet she felt so far away. Matt's eyes were locked onto hers, revealing layers of confusion and hurt. Jessica steadied herself. I didn't mean to suggest we end things. I just need space to think, she explained, surprised at the clarity in her own voice. However, the tightness in Matt's jaw told her that he was struggling with her words. Space? He echoed softly, as though testing the weight of the word. What does that even look like for us? She paused. How could she explain her need when she wasn't sure herself? Maybe, time apart. Just to figure out what we really want separately. Matt shifted, pulling his hands out of his pockets. And what if this space leads us to different places? There was an edge in his voice, a vulnerability she hadn't heard before. The question hung between them, a chasm just waiting to swallow them both. I don't know. Maybe it will, or maybe it'll bring clarity. Clarity can be a dangerous thing, he said, his tone drifting to uncertainty. What if we realize we don't want the same things anymore? The idea gripped Jessica with fear. What if discovering their truths meant tearing them apart? We can't ignore our dreams, she replied, hoping her voice conveyed the urgency she felt. I've felt suffocated, Matt. I need to breathe. Fine, he said abruptly, running a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling over. Then why are we even here? Why are we pretending everything's okay? I'm not pretending. I'm scared. Her admission came out in a rush, the thud of her heart drowning out the music. Jessica could feel tears prickling the corners of her eyes. I don't want to lose what we have. Matt stepped back, his expression shifting to one of sadness. You're saying you need a break, but you're still holding on, Jess. I'm here, I want to understand, but how can I if you keep building walls? She swallowed hard, feeling raw, exposed. This conversation was stripping away layers she didn't even know existed. I thought you'd understand, she said, her voice trembling. I thought you'd be on my side. And I am. He exclaimed, emotion thick in his voice. But you've got to let me in instead of pushing me away. Just then, Greg reappeared with a wide smile, oblivious to the storm brewing. Okay, guys. Who's ready for some fun? Let's play charades. He waved his hands, initiating cheers from the others. Jessica felt tension seep into her chest. How could they just shift to games while the roots of their relationship felt so uncertain? Maybe we should join, she began, her words trailing off under the excitement. Why? So we can pretend everything's fine? Matt snapped, his voice sharper than he intended. The tension stood heavy in the air. Jessica glanced around, catching the eyes of their friends all bright and gleeful. Here they were, drowning in their own struggle while the world craved fun. Look, Matt said quietly, no longer raising his voice. Why don't we take a moment? Just you and me, without everyone else. Can we do that? Jessica nodded, feeling the heat of his gaze and the sincerity in his voice. Maybe stepping away from the noise would unveil more than just more questions. Something inside her yearned for that clarity. As they moved to a quiet corner, surrounded by the thrumming music, Jessica looked at Matt. The warmth of the reunion contrasted sharply with the uncertainty of their conversation. "I don't want to lose this," she finally confessed, realization washing over her like a tide. "So we figure it out, together?" he asked, hope flickering in his eyes. But what if figuring it out means facing truths we're not ready for? His gaze weighed heavy on her. "Then we face them, no matter what." Jessica felt the ground shift beneath her, openness filling the space between uncertainty and possibility. They were tangled in a mess of emotions, but maybe taking this step wouldn't mean an end. Perhaps it was just the beginning of something new or something deeper. With the rhythm of the party fading around them, a new question loomed in the air. Could facing their truths bring them closer together, or would it tear them apart for good? Jessica stood at the edge of the crowd, heart pounding and mind racing. She and Matt had finally taken that step, peeling back the walls they had built over the years. The moment felt monumental, a delicate balance of fear and hope hanging in the air. As laughter erupted around them, she could feel the warmth of connection building between them, even amidst the uncertainty. "Jess," Matt said, his voice low but steady, "this is scary for me. But I can't pretend anymore." His gaze was searching, imploring her to understand how deeply this moment mattered. The vulnerability hung like a fragile ornament between them, cold yet shimmering with possibilities. "I feel the same," she admitted, willing him to see the truth behind her words. It's hard." The tears she had blinked back earlier pricked at her eyes again, but this time they didn't feel like shame or doubt, they felt like release. "I don't want to lose each other in this," Matt said, his voice a mix of conviction and worry. "But if we keep hiding behind our fears, we might end up losing everything." The weight of his honesty settled on Jessica's heart, warm like a blanket. She found herself nodding, urgency swelling within her. "You're right. I need to be honest about what I want for us too." With the noise of the party swirling behind them, they stood cocooned in the possibility of what could be. Jessica took a deep breath, pushing the boundaries of her hesitation. "The truth is, I feel like I lost myself along the way, and I need to find her. And I want you to walk with me through that." Matt's expression shifted, a glimmer of understanding igniting in his eyes. "Then let us make a plan. Not just for your dreams but for us. We need to focus on both together." The resolution in his voice pierced through the layers of uncertainty that had plagued them for too long. With those words, Jessica felt a surge of hope. It wasn't just about her ambitions anymore, it was about them navigating the path of life hand in hand. "But it means we have to be brave," she said, pushing back a smile as her heart did a little dance. "Brave enough to support each other's journeys, no matter what they look like." A calm smile broke on Matt's face, and for the first time that night, she felt a weight lift from their connection. "I'm in, Jess. I'll always be in. We just have to communicate like this more." As they stood there, a wave washed over them, a realization that the fight for their dreams didn't need to be solitary, it could be a shared adventure. Surrounding them, laughter and cheers erupted anew, as Greg animatedly continued the charades inside. "Let us go back," Jessica said, pulling him to join their friends. Together. With that, the two of them re-entered the fray, arms linked, a newfound confidence coursing through the air. The world around them buzzed with vitality, and they both took a deep breath, grounding themselves in the moment. As their friends laughed and played, the atmosphere felt lighter, interwoven with joy and acceptance. Jessica could feel the foundations of her empire standing tall, not just of her personal successes, but a partnership flourishing from truth and resilience. In that crowded room, Jessica realized it wasn't merely about being driven or ambitious. It was about building each other up along the way, hands entwined, hearts open, ready for whatever future awaited them. With laughter floating through the air, she could see glimmers of happiness sparking in Matt's eyes. "Cheers to us!" she shouted, raising her glass, feeling a wave of unshakable unity. Everyone raised their glasses in return, laughter ringing out like a song. This was just the beginning of their journey, and together, they would forge a path brightly lit by love, dreams, and unyielding support. With renewed energy, they faced the night, ready to embrace every moment and the transformations to come. As the night wound down, Jessica could hardly wait to share this story, this journey of courage with those who needed to hear it. They had faced the darkness but emerged hand in hand, ready to illuminate their path toward tomorrow. Embrace your dreams. Fight for your truth. Stand by those you love. And as the glow of the celebration faded into soft whispers of the night, a voice inside Jessica echoed, "You need to share this journey with the world." So, friends, if you resonate with Jessica's story and want to keep this journey alive, subscribe immediately to the channel. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now if this story inspires you. Feed the algorithm to spread messages of transformation. Comment below your reactions and feelings about the ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.